You're watching the Newshour Special Edition, Debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
All right, let's also open up the debate now and go across to our guests. Joining us tonight are Shazia Ilmi, spokesperson of the BJP, Swapnil Kothari, senior lawyer, Priyanka Dev, social media expert, Manasvi Thapar, lawyer and political analyst, Surendra Chauhan, advocate, and political analyst Ravi Srivastava also joins us on the broadcast. Good evening to all of you. Let me first go across to Ravi Srivastava. Ravi Srivastava, there are more incriminating WhatsApp chats now where doobies are being discussed, sir, and trouble clearly now mounts for Rhea Chakraborty.
Swati, in fact, it has been now 100 hours in interrogation by CBI of the other three, Pitani and the other Neeraj and Keshav and all. But so far, no authentic word has come out from the CBI sources. So whatever we are discussing here, whatever you are showing is all imagination, but all,
Whose imagination? The WhatsApp chats are not imaginations. No, they are not part of our imagination. We were not the ones who were talking about doobies and stuff getting over.
Swati, you are so much into imagination that your channel had retweeted the tweet of Me Too saying, which was a fake account. So that much imagination is going on.
It's all right to get confused between, sometimes get confused between a real handle and a fake one, and then we also correct, ourselves. But there is no scope for correcting. But there is no scope for correcting yourself when you're talking about doobies on WhatsApp chats. When you're talking about doobies on WhatsApp chats, there is no scope of correction. There's only scope of investigation. Let me go across to Swapnil Kothari. Swapnil Kothari, more than 2 months time was given to the Mumbai police. More than 2 months time was given to the Mumbai police. Mr. Ravi Srivastava never asked why is the Mumbai police not revealing what is it that they found so far in the investigation, and if they found nothing, just close the case. But now that the CBI is investigating and there are skeletons tumbling out, he says 100 hours se upar ho gaya. CBI के sources तो कुछ बता ही नहीं रहे हैं, उनको तो कुछ मिल ही नहीं रहा है.
Well, Swati, the point is very simple that CBI is not bound to disclose anything what they are doing. 100 hours is more than enough or not more than enough. That is for them to decide. What they are doing absolutely is preparing a very watertight case. Because what happens is that if they were to do it in a half, you don't want, the last thing you want is that any of these 6 accused go out and fetch get a bail out very easily. So, they're preparing a watertight case, looking at it from a very long-term perspective so that, every single person apart from these 6 people and, what they're trying to get at, from what I understand and what I have seen of the CBI investigation in my 26 years of my career, is that generally CBI's modus operandi is very, very different, Swati. They don't work like the Bombay police because they don't have to follow the Bombay police manual. Their manual and their breadth is extremely wide, and, they will always try to go. If you look at their, motto, it's industry, independence, and integrity.
Right.
So, the thing is that if they really follow that, and I hope that they are following that in this particular case, they will try to nail the big kingpins, and these are the pawns in the game. So they will try to reach to that level where the people who are
it's very interesting very interesting that you highlight that particular aspect, because there are several layers to it. Manasvi Thapar, and one of the most important explosive angle of all of it is the drug angle. And there are WhatsApp chats, incriminating WhatsApp chats where drugs, MDMA, the consumption, the usage, all of it is being discussed.
Correct, Swati. So drug angle is the latest angle. So Rhea has been a drug lady. She has been a gold digger. She has been the one who's colluding with the Mumbai police. In the past, she's the one who has been colluding with the politicians there. She's a murderer. She's a abater. She's also a black magician. So she had a couple of roles to play in the last 75, 76 days. But till now, what I fail to understand is why didn't the CBI have a custodial interrogation for all the Rhea gang members? Even today, what we see,
Okay, today what happened was, okay, I get your point. Today what happened was they were confronted with the financial transaction documents and interrogated together as well. But yes, finish your point and I'll go across to Shazia Ilmi post that.
I'll just take 10 seconds more.
Yeah.
Let me finish. So what we have seen is there is no arrest as of now. So the theories, the conspiracies...
You know, what I don't understand now is that you had so much of patience when for the 2 long months the Mumbai police was interrogating, investigating the bigwigs from Bollywood. And now all of a sudden everybody is so impatient and demanding an arrest and want to know what's going to happen next. Why are you not arresting? Do you have something or not? Why are you not telling us what have you found so far, Shazia Ilmi?
Okay. Yeah, Swati ji, I was supposed to complete, but after Shazia ji completes,
yes, absolutely. So while my friend Manasvi talks about all the things that have been said about Rhea, he is very conveniently quiet about all the things that have been said about SSR, his family, his habits, his depression, the kind of vilification that has been done, the kind of stories that have been made. And it's so shocking that most people out there are not outraged that somebody's murder was being passed off as a suicide. The autopsy reports were not being made clear. The timing was not being written. Disha's autopsy and postmortem reports were obliterated. It is shocking that nobody is questioning this lady Rhea's connection with the DCP Bandra. I find it really, very naive or deliberately, clever of these people to use Rhea's interview as a Trojan horse to obfuscate from the real issue, which is the drug cartel and the drug angle. Always Rhea was just a pawn. Forget the fact about black magic. Anybody can be a gold digger. Nobody cares about that. And a whole lot of people could be running after money, and that's fine. That's a small charge. But to be involved in supplying drugs and being part of, as a cog in the wheel of narcotics, of psychotropic substances, my dear friend, is a very serious charge.
Absolutely.
So forget your black magic and all that, and you feel very hurt.
Gold digger or not, I don't want to comment on that. Gold digger or not, I am not going to comment on that. I'm not even talking about what she is and what she is not. But I'm definitely wanting to highlight what we've accessed, and those are the WhatsApp chats that do suggest that there were talks going on about consumption of drugs, that they were talking about asking someone to supply it to them, that the stuff was over, and then there was a chat about how many drops need to be taken and you need to wait for how much time for it to kick in. And let me go across to Surendra Chauhan, who's an advocate, can also throw some light as far as the legalities is concerned. Mr. Chauhan, why is it that when questions are being asked, and the family is not satisfied with the investigation, the family thinks there's more than meets the eye. But if you question, you become anti-Rhea. When you question, you're accused of running an entire campaign against her. Why can't people question when they see loopholes in an investigation?
Very well said. People has a right to question, but the fact of the matter is, when an investigating agency is investigating a matter, so have patience. It is the premier agency of the country investigating, so people should keep a restraint. Now, very smartly, Madam Shalji is raising an issue that she was a druggist, she was this, she was this, she was that. I am sorry to say that you people are holding her guilty, and you are changing the narrative of criminal jurisprudence that a women.
I never said that.
Madam, listen to me now. Listen, I didn't interject when you spoke.
Take back your words.
She's correcting you, Mr. Chauhan. She's just correcting you. She never called Rhea a drug addict. She was commenting on the WhatsApp chats.
You were accusing her. You were accusing her when there is no evidence.
Yes, I never said that. I can say you abused me. I can say you abused me. Will that become...
Okay, let's not get caught into this.
What business you have got to raise an issue like that?
Mr. Chauhan, let's not get caught into this, sir. Yes, please finish your point.
No.
You have no business.
I never said.
No, she never said she's a drug addict. One second. She's saying it on air, sir. She's saying you misheard her. She never said she's a drug addict. She was just commenting on the WhatsApp chats. Yes, please go ahead now, Mr. Chauhan. Finish your point.
Fix your ears. Fix your ears.
So WhatsApp chat has no evidence. WhatsApp chat only can lead to a narrative that there can be some angle.
No, if there can be something, WhatsApp chat will at least lead you to investigate it or not, sir. Wouldn't the WhatsApp chat lead you to investigate something or not?
WhatsApp chat is not a substantive piece of evidence.
Forensics are about that.
Are you saying that this angle should not be looked into? We do not need an interrogation on this. We do not need to know. We do not need to know why somebody talking about MDMA.
It has no correlation with the death of SSR.
So how can you say that right now? How can you say that right now that there's no correlation? Priyanka Dev wants to come in. Priyanka Dev, can we right now at this stage say that there's no correlation absolutely whatsoever?
Yeah. And I think the problem is, sir, that whatever it is, we're talking about a WhatsApp chat. But you know what? Before Rhea's official statement was that she never did any drugs. She specifically used the word never. And now 2 men have been detained for her involvement in drug supply. So that means that there is some connection to Rhea and drugs. So absolutely, it should be investigated. And I think that this is fair, and this could lead to answers, this could not lead to answers, but it definitely for sure needs to be investigated.
Absolutely, it needs to be investigated. That's a very important point that you're making. And you know, Mr. Chauhan, that's exactly what I wanted to highlight. Rhea Chakraborty's lawyer has said she has never taken drugs even once. You can take her blood test. And then appear these WhatsApp chats. In the interview, she herself says, Sushant Singh Rajput used to consume marijuana. I was the one helping him out of it. So there definitely is some angle which needs to be investigated. If such claims are being made, then the family has a right to know why she is making those claims. Let's take a short break and we'll come back and continue our discussion. Welcome back. All our guests continue to be with us. Let me quickly go across to Mr. Kothari. Mr. Kothari, Mr. Chauhan is saying there's no correlation between Sushant Singh Rajput's death investigation and the drug angle. Then why is it that we are talking about it? Why are so many questions being asked about it? If we were to take what Rhea said on the face value of Sushant Singh Rajput consuming marijuana, why is it then the WhatsApp chats, everyone except for Sushant Singh Rajput is talking about drugs, is talking about getting marijuana, is talking about doobies, is talking about the stuff getting over and arranging it from someone. And even if, let's say, we take what she is saying on face value that yes, Sushant Singh Rajput was consuming marijuana, then that also needs to be investigated.
Absolutely, Swati. I don't believe that what she said about Sushant. I think that was more of a training by her lawyer to go on air and say these things, put a reverse spin to that. That could very well be it, and she is entitled to say what she wants to say. I will not, fault her for that. What I will fault her for is those appearance in the chats discussing all these things and, ek do chamach coffee mein dal dena and, 30-40 minutes ke liye kick in karna. Now, whether or not an administration of drugs to Sushant Singh Rajput was only with the idea to benumb his reasoning faculty and sanity so that she can extract and siphon off money to the extent. And, there are two angles to this, Swati. One of the angle is that you can hold her only then for theft and criminal breach of trust. Money laundering is a very specific sort of an offense under the PMLA. Although the ambit of PMLA has been expanded to include this kind of a theft and criminal breach of trust, but that is something which the ED will have to really, fine-tune it to pin her for that. Now, as far as her connection with the murder is concerned, the drug angle. Now, in that sense, I agree with Mr. Chauhan that still needs to be established whether the injection of drugs was only to extract money and whether, they believed in peddling drugs or consuming drugs or whether that has got any connection with the murder. Now, I'll be very happy that if it is not connected with the murder.
But then one would say, did it drive him? Did it drive him towards the end? Mr. Kothari, did it drive him towards the end is what one is going to ask.
Correct. That's what I'm coming to, Swati. So I'm very happy because on the 8th of June, if it's factually established that she left her Sushant's house, then she's in no position to administer drugs to him. So that means if she's not in a position to administer drugs to him so as to convince him to commit suicide, so 306 is not applicable, so it automatically gets converted to a charge of murder. Because that means somebody came and murdered him with all those, ligature marks, etc., and all those things which the CBI will establish. Now I'll come to one more point. So I'm very happy that if the administration of drugs was not with a view to murder, because she was not there only for those 5 days, and it will take 5 days to kick in, for the murder part. So I'm glad that the murder angle will be established and CBI will come out with that. Now, what I'm very happy, there are two things which I'm very happy about in the CBI investigation.
Okay.
First of all, that it is leaving all these accused to go back home. So it is so confident that they will come the next day and the kind of vice-like grip that CBI has got on the investigation and on all these people that they are not even daring to, go out even probably for a jog in the park and they're coming next day. And so, that is one thing they're very confident.
Okay, Manasvi.
They are trying to, a lot of balance the inconsistencies so as to completely...
Inconsistencies is what the CBI is talking about again and again, because individuals who were in the house on the day when Sushant's body was found are not describing it, the happening of the day, the way they should have been if both those individuals witnessed the same thing. Manasvi Thapar.
Yes, correct. Swati, what we stand for is investigation and not speculation. So when it comes to investigation, what happens is I am of the view that you catch up big fishes or big penguins, whatever, small, big penguins, whatever you want to catch, investigate them and do not speculate. What is happening as of now, what we are seeing is there are a lot of speculations which are happening. We don't know what the truth is. We are in the middle of the investigation.
But tell me something. These statements that have been made, if you're talking about the political statements that have been made against each other, what has the CBI got to do with it? Did the CBI officials come and say कि हाँ इस पार्टी का ये politician है या उस पार्टी का वो politician है? CBI तो अपने leads पर काम कर रही है.
Yeah. So I am not going into it. Just let me complete. See, you do a PR, you don't do a PR. A guilty remains a guilty with PR or without PR. That does not make any difference. With the PR, what you are trying to do or not trying to do is you are approaching your public. That is it. It does not change the...
No, fair enough. But then you can't. But then you can't turn around and say that if you question her, that if you're trying to highlight the loopholes, then you're running a campaign against her. Then you can't say that. Then you can't say that because the family also have a say. The family also has a stand. The family has not got a closure till now. That's the, for the family to be satisfied with the investigation is the most important thing, irrespective of what you say or what I say. The family thinks there's a foul play and that should be investigated. And Priyanka Dev, because there are several theories and narratives about Sushant Singh Rajput's mental health. Some say he was bipolar, some are saying that he was under severe depression, that he was taking several medications. And there are the others who are saying that if there was some mention of a drug called MDMA, everybody knows the kind of impact that this drug has. So did somebody administer that drug to Sushant Singh Rajput, which was responsible for his mental health collapsing?
But that is what needs to be investigated. No, we can all speculate. But, what I can say is that all of these fresh disclosures, they are not, and, others, including other disclosures that have come out, including, needle marks on the neck, the Google history of SSR, that they were in direct contradiction to what the Mumbai police have said. So it either shows that the Mumbai police are incompetent in what they do or that they are very knowingly not revealing the truth to the public. And it's thanks, as somebody who does all their work on digital platforms and social media, I must say it's thanks to the internet, smartphone usage, that people even in remote areas of the country are now calling out these contradictions and bringing authorities like the Mumbai police under pressure. Because when I was a kid, I grew up in the US, and when I came to India, it was a very different story. People were not that informed. But today, people are very informed, and it's especially the youth who are unafraid of voicing their opinions today and putting authorities in place and calling these contradictions out. And I hope, as you were saying before, for the sake of the nation and especially to bring dignity and closure to the death, let me just finish my sentence. Sorry. If the truth comes out, whether it's drug dealing or money laundering or Bollywood mafia or all of the above or none of the above, I hope that the truth comes out, and this is what the CBI is doing. And I must say it's thanks to the nation and the public who is hooked on this case and who's following this case so closely that these contradictions are coming out. Otherwise, people were afraid to confront these authorities before.
Shazia Ilmi.
What Priyanka is saying is something I totally agree with. I cannot for the life of me understand why the top cop is not being called out. I totally agree with what Mr. Hari Salve even said yesterday, that can you imagine on his watch, Disha Salyan's murder, forensics and details and post-mortem details and details of the death just get obliterated, deleted, and he just sits pretty. And then he's so keen to tell everybody that Sushant Singh Rajput was busy Googling painless death and all and trying to shove it down our throats, when he did not even find out as to who the locksmith was, the famous locksmith who seems to have disappeared. When there were two bodies being seen, where the area was not cordoned off, and also the same top cop who happens to be a friend of mine, but I think we should all call a spade, and call out these incompetent or compromised people, because he could not even get the CCTV footage, which is very much available. So I find this very murky. And if indeed Rhea has nothing to do with this at all, the murder, please tell me, why is DCP Bandra so keen to talk to her? Why is Mumbai police so keen to keep her out of any harm's way? Well, if there is nothing to hide, what's the problem?
You know, many would say, Mr. Ravi Srivastava, including I believe, many would say कि इतनी ज़्यादा competent हो गई थी मुंबई पुलिस के 15 मिनट के अंदर ही फैसला हो गया था कि ये तो सुसाइड का मामला है, और बाद में अगर किसी ने नेपोटिज्म की बात कही तो बिग प्रोडक्शन हाउसेस के रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स को क्वेश्चनिंग के लिए बुला लिया, लेकिन रिया चक्रवर्ती का फोन सीज किया जाए ये ख्याल नहीं आया रवि श्रीवास्तव.
Let's not forget the left lobby and mainstream media also.
Can I please?
Don't commit murders. Let's not forget that.
Swati,
what are they doing?
Can I please?
Yes, Ravi Srivastava ji, go ahead.
Madam, she is obstructing the time. Swati, first of all, it is worthless to discuss about Mumbai police. They were incompetent, they were manipulated.
Are they beyond questioning? No, why is it worthless? Why is it worthless? They were the first ones to investigate the matter, and without even completing the investigation in 15 minutes to say that it is a case of suicide.
Investigation is going on now.
No, are they above all this? Are they above? Can you not question the Mumbai police? कौन से pedestal पे क्यों बैठा रहे हैं आप मुंबई पुलिस को? बहुत अच्छा काम करती है, बहुत प्रोफेशनल फोर्स है, पूरे डिपार्टमेंट के खिलाफ कोई नई बात कर रहा है, लेकिन अगर इन्वेस्टिगेशन में कुछ लूप होल्स हैं उसको आप पॉइंट करें तो आप एंटी मुंबई पुलिस हो जाते हैं.
रिया पर कोई सवाल पूछते तो एंटी रिया हो जाते हैं, तो मैं उस हिसाब से तो ये प्रो मुंबई.
You know, unfortunately, in investigation, and I think Mr. Surendra Chauhan will agree with me as an advocate. Mr. Chauhan will agree with me. At least in a investigation, you cannot say what has been done has been done. अब नई एजेंसी आ गई है तो वो इन्वेस्टिगेट करेगी. हो सकता है कि जो पिछली एजेंसी या पुलिस डिपार्टमेंट इन्वेस्टिगेट कर रहे थे उनकी गलत इन्वेस्टिगेशन की वजह से या टाइमली एक्शन नहीं लेने की वजह से बहुत सारे डिले और लूप होल्स रह गए हों, और अब जो इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग एजेंसी आई उसको मुश्किल हो सके. सो इन एन इन्वेस्टिगेशन आई एम श्योर मिस्टर चौहान यू कैन नॉट से व्हाट हैज बीन डन हैज बीन डन.
No, has been done is not the answer. I am telling by running.
No, I agree to this extent, Mr. Srivastava.
Now listen to a person. Now listen to a person who's an advocate who can throw some more light. Yeah.
Mr. Srivastava, please permit me.
There is no campaign, sir. There is just one campaign, Justice for Sushant. बाकी कोई भी सवाल पूछेगा तो आप उसको कैंपेन की शक्ल दे देते हैं. That's a different story. Yeah.
People are running away.
I am not part of those people. I am not part of those groups or those gangs. I am just asking questions based on what our reporters are telling us and the facts that we've been able to access. I am part of no. One second, sir. I am not a part of any of the campaigns that you're talking about. Please. Yes, Mr. Chauhan.
She is coming out of the vehicle. She is entering into the vehicle. Is it reporting? Tell me. Is it objective reporting? Is it objective journalism by any standard? Chasing the vehicle, entering the vehicle, going out, coming in.
अगर मुंबई पुलिस से क्वेश्चन करेंगे तो भी आप हमारी जर्नलिज्म पे सवाल उठाइए. अगर रिया चक्रवर्ती से हम सवाल पूछ रहे हैं तो भी आप हमारे जर्नलिज्म पर सवाल उठाइए. बाकी पूरी दुनिया सही है, इस देश के जर्नलिस्ट सबसे गलत है. मैंने मान लिया, चलिए ठीक है. नाउ लेट मिस्टर चौहान कम इन. गो अहेड सर. Okay, Mr. Srivastava.
I agree to the extent that there is always a scope that investigation, what is not done, what is undone, there is always a scope. But the fact of the matter is, Mumbai police has not arrived to a conclusion within 15 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes that it's a case of suicide. The suicide thing comes through the executive magistrate. Executive magistrate has made an inquest report, directed the police authorities that it is prima facie a case of suicide, investigate and inquire it.
Yeah, based on the investigation done by Mumbai police.
Mumbai police has done it.
stop fooling
So,
people.
sir,
based on
whoever
the-
has arrived at that
sorry, you are wrong.
so whoever has arrived at that conclusion is not on the basis of their opinion, right?
Whenever a recall comes,
That is
you
not
see,
their opinion. That is based on something that has been provided to them to arrive at that
It
conclusion.
is not an opinion. It is not an
What we see
opinion.
people.
It is not an opinion. Whenever
No, you're lying
any
again.
unusual,
The
Absolutely.
magistrate declares it a
suspicious,
suicide
unnatural
or a
death
murder
takes place,
based on
1 minute.
investigation.
No, so absolutely
You're
there
lying
we
again.
all end up
And you are
contradicting.
fooling people.
No, there we all end up contradicting
The magistrate
ourselves. 1 second.
Law, I know
Suicide or a
law
murder
better than
based
you.
on the investigation.
Now, listen
And
to
we
me
are
now.
saying the Mumbai police
Whenever
completely
any
covered up.
unnatural,
You got it?
suspicious,
So do not again
and
try and
unusual
fool
death
people. Nobody is
occurs,
a
it is
fool.
always
This is very
executive
basic.
magistrate has
I
been called.
mean,
Right.
please,
And how do those people in authority, Mr. Kothari, how do those people in authority arrive at that particular conclusion? क्या वो अपने opinions लिखते हैं उसमें, अपनी सोच लिखते हैं उसमें, या उनको कुछ ना कुछ material obviously police department provide करता है? That's why they arrive at a particular conclusion.
Right. Swati, you've asked a very
bilkul.
nice question. The ambit of
Exactly,
section
Swati, it's a proper
174
investigation
of
that is given.
CRPC is very clear that as soon as you reach the site of death, you need to
Yes.
first examine the body, the surrounding circumstances, and you have to come to a conclusion within 5 to 10 days. That is the inquest inquiry that is done. Now, that is what we call an inquest inquiry. And within 5 to 10 days, you sort of come to a conclusion whether it's a suicide or a homicide. And if you come to a conclusion that it's suicide without any abetment, you just say simply case closed and the matter is over. And the point is that these people came out too fast, both in Disha Salient's case and, Sushant's case, that, it was a suicide. Now, unfortunately, what is happening
Yes.
is that the job that you people are doing, chasing cars and chasing witnesses, is something which, had the Mumbai police done, iski naubat hi nahi aati, jo aap logo ko karna pad raha hai media ko. So, agar ye unfortunate part hai ki ye aap logo ko karna pad raha hai, and in a way, I'm happy that the media is being the fourth estate and is assisting the judiciary, because but for the media, many cases would not have come to light and many loopholes would not have been exposed. I mean, you've heard Mr. Salve yesterday, and I don't want to repeat what he said, but because he's expounded upon it quite clearly. But it is very clear that what is happening today in the richest, I wouldn't say richest, I would say in the financial center of the country,
Right.
is that the administrative machinery has failed. And if this happens here with Sushant Singh Rajput, Swati, I shudder to think as to what right or what thought a common man would have, when it comes to access to justice. उसकी तो कोई औकात ही नहीं है अगर इस आदमी की फैमिली को इतना लड़ना पड़ रहा है इस चीज के वजह से. And so that is something which
नहीं, और उसके बाद ये रवि श्रीवास्तव जी कैंपेन्स की बात करते हैं. परिवार के खिलाफ जो कैंपेन चल रहा है उस पर कोई बात नहीं करता कि पिता के साथ रिलेशनशिप अच्छा नहीं था. उनकी बहनें तो सिर्फ they were only interested in knowing what Sushant had. Show me was their attitude. They just wanted to know how much money he had. In campaigns पे कोई कुछ बात नहीं कहेगा because it's fine. Because it's fine. The family is asking questions. You can run slander campaigns against the family. But the very basic question that many are asking is, जब सुशांत सिंह राजपूत के mortal remains मॉर्चुरी में रखे गए थे, जहां पर हमने बात की स्टाफ से, तो स्टाफ कहता है कि फैमिली को भी अलाउड नहीं है अंदर आना. अगर साथ में कोई पुलिस वाला आएगा, वो भी कोई अर्जेंसी है तो हम अलाउ करेंगे. वहां रिया चक्रवर्ती को फ्री एक्सेस मिल जाता है. क्यों? We'll debate that on the other side. Stay with us. Welcome back. Let's quickly go across to Shazia Ilmi now. Shazia Ilmi, the family members in February had said that they think Sushant's life is in danger. मुंबई पुलिस कहती है आपने रिटर्न कंप्लेंट हमको नहीं दी, हमने इसीलिए कोई एक्शन नहीं लिया. अगर आप चाहते थे तो आपको रिटर्न कंप्लेंट देनी चाहिए थी. जब सुशांत सिंह राजपूत की बॉडी उनके घर पर मिली, the Mumbai police was reminded again of what had happened. But did the Mumbai police seize Rhea Chakraborty's cell phone or the cell phones of those individuals who were in the house? क्या उनसे इन्वेस्टिगेशन की शुरुआत हुई? क्या तब भी मुंबई पुलिस व्हाट्सएप चैट्स पे फॉलो अप एक्शन नहीं ले सकती थी?
बिल्कुल ले सकती थी. मैं ये कह रही हूँ कि ये आप किसी तरह से इसको लापरवाही ना समझिए. ये एक जानबूझकर शातिराना तरीके से इस केस को रफा दफा करने की कोशिश की गई है. और मैं जो भाई साहब जो बड़े लॉयर बन के कुछ बता रहे थे कि मजिस्ट्रेट प्रोनाउंस करता है कि वो खुदकुशी है या मर्डर, मैं बता दूं कि इन्वेस्टिगेशन के आधार पर ही वो इस तरह का कुछ प्रोनाउंस कर सकता है कि सुसाइड है या फिर मर्डर है. अब जब पुलिस वहाँ पहुँचकर बाकायदा कवर अप कर रही है, ऑटोप्सी में हम देख रहे हैं क्या कुछ हो रहा है, और बता नहीं रही है कि हड्डी टूटी है पाँव की कि नहीं टूटी है, किस माथे पे किस तरह के निशान है, कि टेजर मार्क्स के क्यों निशान है, कि वाकई में फांसी के भी जो निशान है वो एंटी मॉर्टम है या पोस्ट मॉर्टम है, और क्या वो लटक के मरा है तो कैसे मरा है, वो स्टूल कहाँ है, वो चाबी बनाने वाला इंसान कहाँ है, जो लॉकस्मिथ जिसकी सब बात कर रहे हैं, ये सब कैसे हो रहा है जब इतनी बुनियादी चीज़ें मुंबई पुलिस नहीं पता कर पा रही है और मामले को रफा दफा कर रही है। तो क्या सुशांत के परिवार के लिए इतना हम लोग नहीं कर सकते कि कम से कम एक बेहतर एजेंसी से जांच कराएं? और किसको बचाने की कोशिश की जा रही है? क्या इतनी बड़ी सेलिब्रिटी रिया क्यों है?
नहीं, सुप्रीम कोर्ट में जाने की वजह से सीबीआई को इन्वेस्टिगेशन मिला है। सुप्रीम कोर्ट में जाने की वजह से सीबीआई को इन्वेस्टिगेशन मिला है। ईडी ने फोन्स कॉन्फिस्केट किए तो उनको ड्रग एंगल मिला है, और उसके बाद वो ड्रग एंगल की जांच अब सीबीआई भी कर रही है और एनसीबी भी कर रही है। अगर ये शुरुआती नहीं हुई होती तो ये ड्रग एंगल कहीं दब चुका होता। रवि श्रीवास्तव जी,
ये मैडम जो शाजिया इल्मी बोल रही है,
बिल्कुल रिया चक्रवर्ती किसको बचाने की कोशिश कर रही है, जिसकी वजह से मुंबई पुलिस उनको बचा रही है। मेरा बस एक छोटा सा सवाल है जिसका जवाब कोई भी यहाँ बैठ दे।
क्या बचा रही है, कहाँ बचाते हुए देखा आपने, बोलिए।
शाजिया इल्मी जी, आपका जवाब मैं देता हूँ, आपका जवाब मैं देता हूँ। स्वाति जी
मैं बता दूं, मुंबई पुलिस क्यों बचा रही है? मुंबई पुलिस, परमवीर जी, डीसीपी बांद्रा, पूरी महाराष्ट्र सरकार क्यों बचा रही है रिया?
सुप्रीम कोर्ट में रिया चक्रवर्ती गई थी पहले,
बचा रही है क्या?
रिया चक्रवर्ती गई थी सुप्रीम कोर्ट में ये कहने के लिए कि ये केस जो है ये सिर्फ मुंबई पुलिस ही इन्वेस्टिगेट करेगी, इसमें बिहार का कोई जुरिस्डिक्शन नहीं है। सबसे पहले रिया चक्रवर्ती गई थी।
Sorry, you are wrong. 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 You read her petition. You read her petition as well as the order. As well as the order. She approached to this.
Okay, we have a breaking input coming in. I'll come back to you, Mr. Chauhan. Times Now has spoken to the ambulance attendant who completely denies the suicide theory. He's making a sensational revelation, in fact, and he says that he heard doctors talking and saying it's murder.
11:30 बजे जब उसका पोस्टमार्टम हुआ, पोस्टमार्टम के बाद जब रिया चक्रवर्ती आई थी रात में, सुबह 8 बजे आने के बाद जब मैं उसके पीछे घुस के अंदर घुसा, उससे पहले मैंने सब कुछ निशाने देख लिया। निशाने देखने के बाद वो माफ़ी मांगी, सॉरी बोली। सुशांत
तुम्हारे सामने सॉरी बोली थी?
जी, मेरे सामने सुशांत सॉरी बोली थी और 2 आदमी खड़े थे। उसके बाद मेरे को बाहर भेज दिए। फिर डॉक्टरों की कुछ बात हो रही थी तो डॉक्टर एकदम सूम में बोल रहे थे कि मर्डर है, तो मैं सुना अपने कानों से, और उसके बाद मैंने किसको कुछ बोला ना पुलिस को बोला।
पोस्टमार्टम के अंदर के डॉक्टर्स बोल रहे थे कि ये मर्डर है?
जी, मर्डर है बोल रहे थे। जब मैं पुलिस को नहीं बोला ना किसको भी नहीं बोला, मैं चुप अपना बाहर आ गया। मीडिया भी बहुत बाहर खड़ी थी, चुप अपना बाहर आ गया। फिर किस संसार तक मैं वहाँ तक गया था, वहाँ से जाके मैं फिर देखा था एकदम निशाने है अंदर पोस्टमार्टम के, 10 सुइयों के निशाने थे, तलवे के नीचे सुइयों के निशान थे। देख के फिर जब भी मैंने एकदम दिल में छुपा लिया था कि मैं किसको भी नहीं बोलूँगा।
तो तुम पोस्टमार्टम के रूम में थे, रिया चक्रवर्ती अंदर पोस्टमार्टम रूम में कितना टाइम थी, क्या हुआ उधर, थोड़ा विस्तार में बताएंगे?
वो आई थी, वो अंदर जाने की कोशिश कर रही थी, तो वो अंदर जाने के बाद मैं भी गर्दी में अंदर घुस गया। था। अंदर घुसने के बाद रिया चतुरी सॉरी बोल रही थी। जब मैंने निशाने भी देख लिया था सब खोल के, और यहाँ टेप ऐसा चिपके था, पोस्टमार्टम का ही टेप होएगा, उसका मेरे को इतना इशू नहीं है, पोस्टमार्टम का ही टेप होएगा और सब कुछ होएगा। उस वजह से मैंने सब देख के अपने बाहर आ गया।
डॉक्टर ने बोला ये मर्डर है, तो आपको भी ऐसा कुछ लगा था?
हमको तो ऐसा लगा था, मर्डर ही लग रहा था।
क्यों लगा था?
फांसी लेगा तो आदमी जबान बाहर आ जाएगी, पीली बॉडी नहीं पड़ेगी, टांग कैसा टूटेगी, हमको तो ऐसे ही लगा ना सर, हम तो इसके लिए बता रहे हैं।
Well, that's another revelation coming in from the ambulance attendant. He says he heard the doctors talk about this case being that of murder. Mr. Chauhan, finish your point, and if there is any truth, I don't know whether this is true or not, but the CBI definitely now needs to pick up this man as well and try to find out why he's claiming that the doctors were talking about this being a murder.
Well, this ambulance driver is a competent witness. If he revealing something, and he has to explain to the CBI that why he has come out now, why he has not made such statement earlier, whether somebody has persuaded him to make the statement or it is a voluntary statement. So yes, he can be a competent witness if that angle is to be probed.
Right. Now, Mr. Srivastava, why don't you say that Mr. Chauhan is also part of the anti-Rhea camp?
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying, what this man is talking now is absolutely utter nonsense. Why he was keeping...
How have you arrived at this conclusion?
2.5 months. This kind of bogus people...
How have you arrived at this conclusion? No, how have you immediately arrived at the conclusion that this man, whatever this man is saying is utter nonsense? Investigate the man. This is utter nonsense. I'm sure there are provisions in law. If this is utter nonsense, I'm sure there are provisions in law by which you can punish this man also. कि तुम झूठ बोल रहे हो, तुम्हारी वजह से इन्वेस्टिगेशन डिरेल हो जाएगी, तुमको भी हम पनिश करेंगे.
What kind of person is he?
Yeah, so see, Mr. Ravi,
the kind of person he is, sees dead bodies, mortal remains very, very closely. He was the one who saw Sushant's mortal remains also very closely. He says there were some injuries on his body, there were some marks on the body. He says he heard the doctors say it was a case of murder. Like I said, I don't know what the truth is in what the man is saying, but why not investigate, interrogate this man as well?
He should rush to
interrogate this man as well. Ask this man who were the 2 doctors or 3 doctors or 4 doctors or 5 doctors talking about this being a case of murder. Manasvi Thapar.
Ravi ji, can I make my point now? Swati ji, see, in this particular case, we have seen lots of witnesses coming on and out. There are so many views coming in and out. So to get the trust of the law and order of the general public back in the system, it is very pertaining for the CBI to investigate all angles and all those people who are connected in this matter. Even if Mumbai police, if they believe the officials have colluded, even they should be summoned.
Manasvi, we have been saying just that. We've been saying just that right from day one.
Swati, please.
We've been saying just that right from day one. If there are allegations of collusion, investigate both the Mumbai police and Rhea Chakraborty. If there are allegations of drug usage, investigate those people. If there are allegations of foul play, investigate people. We've been saying the same thing, but unfortunately we get accused of being anti-Rhea, we get accused of running slanderous campaigns. You know, any sensible person would say investigate and find out. But you know, I have to wrap up the debate at that. Thank you very much, Manasvi Thapar, Priyanka Deo, Shazia Ilmi, Swapnil Kothari, Mr. Chauhan and Ravi Srivastava for joining us on the broadcast. The CBI continues its investigation.